This is the Shotgun City Sheriff, the law himself, Clayton Clark.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Mr. Kennedy, a.k.a. Mr. Anderson.
This is the Young Titan, Aaron Atlas.
Hey, this is Matt Brannigan.
This is the Warbound Hellhound Bo Sword.
This is your favorite drunken pro wrestler, a.k.a. the Bud Light Brawler, Dalton Davis.
This is Lizzie Six.
This is Jake Something.
And this is the jaw-jacking, back-cracking, God created all men equal, and then he made me the sequel, Rohit Raju, and you are listening to the Spot Show Podcast.
Spot Show Podcast.
The Spot Show Podcast.
Spot Show Podcast.
The Spot Show Podcast.
Spot Show Podcast. Hell yeah.
The Spot Show Podcast.
The Spot Show Podcast? Yeah, that's right, I stuttered. Shut up.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Spot Show Podcast. We are an independent wrestling podcast with a few pit stops along the way, and get ready because we're taking a few of those pit stops today.
We've already started a few pit stops before even recording.
Yeah, I mean, that's just what we do. Like, we're always podcasting.
The most professional, unprofessional group I know.
You've been calling us that a lot lately, and I kind of vibe with it.
I love it, man.
Because we're just like, we're very thrown together, you know, grassroots by the seat of our pants sort of thing, you know. That's just how we do it. That's how we do it.
It's a little nice tag, man.
How you doing? I am the Dr. Seuss of the commentary booth. I'm Dickie Wabash. That other guy that you hear over there, you hear his voice. That is the one-legged wonder, Mr. Michael Madrox. We are, of course, MadBash. This is the Spot Show Podcast. And we got quite a few things that we need to discuss on this one, Mr. Madrox.
That beating?
Did you say that meeting or that beating?
That beating.
That beating? We did have like a meeting before this. So I was like, what are you talking about? Yeah. Before we get into that, no, dude. So for those of you that don't know, we are doing this premium live event competition where Madrox drafted a team, I drafted a team. We each have 12 WWE superstars, and they earn points based on how they do on premium live events. We're going Mania to Mania. We started after Mania. Backlash was our first one. We have the results of Backlash.
Who won?
Well, we'll get to that in a second because I just want to let everybody know that this episode of the Spot Show Podcast is brought to you by Elite Pro Wrestling and Yoo-Hoo. We're going to hear a little bit more about them later. That is, of course, unless you head on over patreon.com/MadBash Studios. You back us at that $5 and above tier. You're going to get this show completely ad-free. That's not all that we offer over on the Patreon. You'll hear a little bit more about that in the plug ski section. Patreon.com/MadBash Studios. That's the best way to support us, but there's other ways to support us. I get it. Sometimes you don't have the extra money that you can toss our way. That's completely fine. Over there on the Patreon, we have a free membership where you still get access to some really cool stuff. You get behind the scenes photos. You get alerted to whenever there are posts on the other tiers so that you can kind of see what's going on with it, you know, still see what we got going over there on the Patreon, but there's more ways that you can do it. Patreon is not the only way to support us. I caught myself because I almost said patreon.com/MadBash Studios again. I forgot that we were by the seat of our pants, brother. Yeah, you can go to madbashstudios.com. There you are going to find links to all of your podcasting platforms that you can find this podcast. Why don't you do us a favor? Go over there, leave us a 5-star written review on your favorite podcasting platform. That is the best free way to support us, I think. There's many other ways that you can too. You can go to our YouTube channel. You can subscribe to that YouTube channel. There's some good stuff on there too. Going to hear about that in the plug ski section as always. Yeah, you can find the links to all of that over on madbashstudios.com, patreon.com/MadBash Studios. Sometimes you come up with an idea.
It was a great idea.
And then you realize maybe it wasn't the best idea. So I approached Michael Madrox and I said, Madrox, listen, we're going to have a through line for the rest of the year. We're going to do this premium live event draft. For those of you that might be new, there's probably some new traffic coming here, you know, because of different posts and stuff that have been made that have been directing you to us. We did this premium live event draft, and we each drafted 12 superstars, as I said, and we get different points based on how our team performs on the shows. And Backlash was our first one. So we're not going to do this every time, but because this is the first one after, and everyone is probably going to be not as familiar with it, familiar. We're going to run it down at like this. You get points based on, if you appear on screen, whether it be backstage, in-ring run-in, whatever, that's 5 points. You're on a match, you get 10 points.
That only counts as one time, though.
Only one time each, yes. Thank you for pointing that out. If you win a normal match, it's 5 points. If it's a title match that you're in, that's an additional 5 points. If it's a main event, which I know that people can debate, this was the main event. Last match on the card, that's 10 points. If you have a title win or a defense, that's 15 points. If you win Money in the Bank, that's 15 points. If you do Royal Rumble, if you win Royal Rumble, that's 15 points. Press conference appearance is 5 points, but we're adding another one here because we just completely I don't think it was announced when we initially laid out these rules.
It wasn't.
So the King and Queen of the Ring tournament, you're going to get 15 points if whether it be one of your male or female superstars, win King or Queen of the Ring. So you could, in theory, get 30 points from that. So,
I can't.
Huh?
I can't.
Yeah, we're going to get into that as we break down like the performance of Backlash and all that. So there's another thing about this too, is that there is an injury clause, because if one of your people gets injured, you obviously can't earn points off of them, so you got to drop them. You have until the next podcast from the time of
the announcement
to make your decision if you want to keep them or drop them. So far, I've lost Rhea Ripley due to this, picked up Solo Sikoa. Madrox lost Dominic Mysterio, picked up Tama Tonga. Drew McIntyre is on my team, and it has been announced that he is out with an injury. I will be making my official decision on if I'm keeping or getting rid of Drew McIntyre next week on the podcast. You will have information on if I am keeping or getting rid of.
So you're playing it safe to see like what type of injury this really is,
and I want to see how King and Queen of the Ring plays out. I want to see, and that gives me a week, because as of this recording, and as of the time that this is out, obviously SmackDown has not aired. So we don't even know where they're going with that. So that gives me a SmackDown and a Raw to kind of evaluate the situation and see where I go.
I understand that completely, man. But this whole PLE thing, were you expecting like it to go this bad, this quick?
Oh, boy, you know how to really just stick that knife in, don't you?
I'm not even talking about me whooping your ass. I'm talking about like the injuries. Like,
I mean, we've each had 2 injuries. I've had a third one with Drew. Man, I don't know. It's also like, so another through line that we have for this year too is that we made predictions at the beginning of the year, and boy, could we have not been more wrong about those predictions, because I made a few predictions and then all the Vince McMahon stuff came out. McMahon Benoit disclaimer, like we always mention, they're pieces of shit. We're just talking about them, we don't condone them. But yeah, there was but I do hold one victory here.
You got one victory?
I hold one victory. Michael Madrox predicted that the LWO was going to face off at Backlash specifically, and that did not happen.
They faced off at Mania.
Boom. No, you can't retroactively change your shit.
It depends to the person if I get points for that or not.
That's just true. So we're going to have someone come in and judge our points or whatever. But so here we are with Backlash. Tough one.
It was not tough.
It was for me.
So that first match, man, you should have cleaned the floor with me because you had 2 people on opposing teams. So you guaranteed a victory. You guaranteed appearances.
Yeah. First match, of course, was Randy and Kevin Owens versus Tama Tonga and Solo. I have Solo and Randy Orton. You have Tama Tonga. So we both walked away with 20 points. Because of Tama Tonga, but I walked away with an additional 15 points because of Randy Orton, an appearance, and he was in the match. He did not win the match. So I walked away with 35 points from 2 of my people. Now, starting, we just talk about what the first match was. Let's break it down like this. Let's start with what the points were overall, and then we'll break it down by each performance specifically. So Michael Madrox walked away from Backlash France with 225 points.
Is that good?
Dickie Wabash walked away from Backlash with 100 points.
100 even?
Even.
Man.
Your top performer on the show was Cody Rhodes with 55 points. Over half of my total score
in one match
from one person. Damn.
You got sideswiped on that one, man. That's just like a blow to the gut, wasn't it?
Absolutely it was. Absolutely.
See, like when I drafted this stuff, I knew Backlash was coming and what they were putting their toe in the water. And I was like, I got to make some points right off the bat.
And you did. My goal with this was that I'm playing kind of the long game with it, I feel like. So let's break down why Cody Rhodes got 55 points. He was on screen, there's 5 points. A match, 10 points. He won, there's 5 points. It was a title match, so there's 5 points. It was the main event, there's 10 points. 15 points because he defended his title, successfully. And then to add salt to the wound, he was on the press conference.
With that championship.
With the championship. Yeah, Cody Rhodes walked away with 55 points for you. But I'll tell you what the nail in my coffin was. You have Jade Cargill and Bianca Belair.
That tag team women's match, baby.
Yeah, they each netted you 45 points each, 90 total. So
that was almost your whole score.
Yeah. Just in that one because, match, they won. On screen, it was a title match. They won the tag titles and then they were at the press conference. So my top performer was Bayley.
Which I wouldn't have expected.
I know, right? Bayley walked away with 40 points for me. So my top performer was not too far under your top performer, but still yet, 40 to, you trounced me by 125 points.
140 compared to 245s is not
yeah.
Good, so.
Yeah, it's bad. So my lowest performer on the entire show was Finn Balor. I got 5 points just because he appeared on screen.
That's still 5 points, man.
That's still 5 points.
Those 5 points are going to add up throughout the year.
Your lowest performer is tied, actually. You have 2 lowest performers. Jey Uso and Tama Tonga both walked away with 20 points. That was your lowest amount of points.
Wow.
So, yeah. Cody Rhodes got you 55. Damian Priest got you 40. Jay got you 20. Jade and Bianca got you 90 total. And then Tama Tonga got you 20.
That's not counting the people that did not appear or perform, guys.
No, because they were...
A zero is a zero.
A zero is a zero, no matter which way you put it. Drew McIntyre got me 0. I don't know why I started it like that. Solo Sikoa got me 20. Bayley got me 40. Randy Orton got me 15. Balor got me 5. And then Tiffany Stratton, who everyone thought I was fucking crazy for drafting
it's
Tiffany
Tiffy
Stratton.
time, brother.
Got me 20 points. So... yeah, my middle performer got as many points as your lowest performer. So
kudos to me.
Kudos to me, brother. So,
but what's great about this, man, it changes month to month.
It does. And this gives you, this adds a whole new dynamic to watching these premium live events. Because, sure, it's man, I would love to see, put it from your perspective, for example. It's man, I would love to see Cody drop this belt. Oh, but he's wrestling Drew McIntyre. That's going to give Dickie points.
And we don't want that.
Yeah. It could be one of those things man, me personally, it'd be great if Jey Uso won that heavyweight title, but that's giving Madrox points.
Let's talk about the next PLE here for a minute
Mm-hmm.
because I'm already looking like I'm booked into a quarter.
Yeah. So the next one is King and Queen of the Ring. I believe we were breaking this down. Again, this is recorded and airing before SmackDown, so we don't know how that's going to go. Correct? Because we were just talking about this before we started recording. In the King of the Ring tournament, you've got Tama Tonga, Gunther, and Jey Uso still in it.
On the men's side.
On the men's side. On the women's side, I don't think you have anybody. On the men's side, have got Ilya Dragunov, Randy Orton, and LA Knight.
So 3-3.
Did I forget to put LA Knight? Dude, I didn't list LA Knight in my roster.
Really?
Yeah, I forgot to.
So you only have 11?
Yeah, I only have 11. And not that he made me any points anyway, but, you know, boy, that is going to mess up this entire spreadsheet. But that's okay. It doesn't matter. Yeah, so I have LA Knight. You know, we'll see how that goes. I really think that, you know, with you having Gunther, I think he's probably the most likely to win the King of the Ring.
At least from the Raw side.
And again, I would love to see Gunther win King of the Ring, but yet again, it would be points for Michael Madrox.
What if two of our guys come down to the main event for that, man? Like, that's a lot of points.
The only points that, yeah, I mean, there would be a 15-point difference. Or no, sorry, 20-point difference because they didn't win the match, but so let's just say, for example here, if it comes down, just for the sake of this conversation, say it comes down to Gunther and Jey Uso, those are your two guys. They each get 5 points for appearing on screen, 10 points because they win the match. So let me do the math here. There's 20, 30 points. One of them would get 5 points for winning. And then they would get another 15 because they won the King of the Ring. So that's some pretty sizable points.
That's 50 points.
Yeah.
That's that Cody style.
Yeah, 55 points from the old Codester. But yeah, man, I can't believe I forgot to add LA Knight to my list of people. That's really going to bother me. But yeah, man, you know, it's going to keep chugging right along. You know, like I said, I'm not going to determine one way or t'other, as Dad would say, as Papa Wabash would say, because it's the first one. It's the first one. Here in a few weeks, we got King and Queen of the Ring. It'll buff out for me, I think.
Are we going to count pre-show matches, though, if they have those? No. Okay.
Well, it's a good question. It's a very good question. I never thought of that.
Because, I mean, technically, it's still part of the PLE.
It's true.
I mean, I think WrestleMania is the only one that has pre-show matches anymore, isn't it?
Here's the funny thing about this. I didn't even watch Backlash. Like, I really don't watch many of the PLEs. Mostly I didn't watch Backlash because I was at a show with Clydesdale, which I'm going to get into that in a minute. I want to talk about going there and doing that. We're going to talk about that probably in the back half of this podcast. And then the King and Queen of the Ring is going to be going on while we're doing something that I'll mention in the plug ski section, which is a good segue. It's time to enter some plug skis right now. Here's what we got going on over here at MadBash Studios. Guys, it is officially time to ascend the throne. Ascend the Throne has officially been released on Patreon. You can get it on the $5 and $10 tier completely. It's included with your subscription. If you don't want to subscribe to the Patreon, feel it completely, you can still go onto our digital store and you can buy the streaming rights to the show for $8 and you can stream it as many times as you want. We also got some really cool phone wallpapers on there. Check out our digital store. People are really underestimating what all we have on there. There's some pretty cool stuff over there on the Patreon. New episode of Past Bash has come out also on the Patreon. Past Bash is, of course, my show where I explore my history in content creation. This one is my review of Jackass the Game on PlayStation 2. We have got plenty of MadBash uncut matches over on the YouTube channel. We got one coming up here that happened at Ignite Pro Wrestling. We have got, by the time that this is out to the public, it will be on the YouTube. We got Logan Ridge facing off against Clayton Clark in a very good match. Again, this happened this past Saturday at Ignite Pro Wrestling. Shout out to them. We're going to talk a little bit more about them in a minute, talking about my weekend with the Clydesdale, going there and all that. One last little plug ski for you guys. For those of you in the Terre Haute area, Sewer Layer Toys, one of our first sponsors that we ever had on the show. The first sponsor. Shout out to Sewer Layer Toys. You're an incredible toy store. There is going to be a really cool parking lot sale that they have going on. We are going to be set up there. We are going to have all sorts of really cool action figures, MadBash wrestling merchandise. We're even going to be doing some giveaways going on there. We're going to be giving away 2 signed AEW figures. Many ways to enter. Many ways to enter. Come up to that booth. Show us that you have liked the MadBash Facebook page. There's 1 entry. Go subscribe to the YouTube channel. There's 2 entries. Follow us on TikTok. There's 3 entries. Follow us on Instagram. There's 4 entries. There are so many other entries. Ways that you can enter. We're going to post them all on the Facebook so that you can stay tuned with that. Again, you can find information about that over on Facebook. Look up Sewer Layer Toys on there. They've got the event page. I believe this is their 8th annual sale. It's either is it the 8th, right?
I believe it's the 8th.
It's the 8th. I'm going to do a quick check ski on that one. You would think that I would have been little prepared on that one, but hey, when are you going to learn that we usually are not that prepared? Yeah, it is the 8th annual. I was correct on that one. So, yeah, every year that I've gone, I've had an incredible time. We're going to be there all day. We might have some other things cooking up. We'll see you at that Sewer Layer.
You never know who's going to stop by, guys.
You never know. That's the thing that you should come to find out about MadBash. You never know what we're going to be doing to begin with. So that's going to do it for the plug ski section, guys. We've got...
if they want a little taste ski, too, on the YouTube channel, there is a in-store figure hunt.
Oh, yeah. We did do a toy hunt there over on that YouTube channel, yeah. So I believe that's going to do it for all of the plug skis. I think that we've pretty much covered it. Yeah, that's pretty much it. We've got a bunch of stuff coming out, guys. We just always got it rolling. Yeah, come out to that Sewer Layer sale, man. It's going to be really cool. We're going to have a lot of really cool stuff on the table. There's going to be
collectibles,
autographs. There's going to be some Pokemon cards there for those of you that are into that sort of thing. Bunch of wrestling figures, MadBash merchandise. That's everyone's favorite. Everybody loves
the hottest seller in the game, baby.
Hottest seller in the game. That's what we do with this. So the main subject of this podcast that I would like to talk about, we're going to get into it in the back half of this podcast. Everybody was talking about Backlash and how ridiculous the crowd was.
I mean, the government sent out mass warnings to the people of the country about the decibel levels in the air.
They were loud. And that's going to be the big topic that we're going to be discussing here. I want to talk about wrestling fans in general, whether it be crowds, one-on-one interactions that we've had with fans, all that other stuff. So be thinking about that because we're going to be doing that in the back half of the podcast. But before we get into that, I want to talk about this past Saturday. Took a little road trip with the Clydesdale.
Always a great time.
Always a great time. This is the first time that it was ever just me and Clayton. There's only ever been someone else involved, whether it be Brian Parker, because I've made a couple of road trips to iWow with him, to Noble, for IWA Unlimited, or whether it be, us going to Danville or going to NVW,
we normally have the car packed.
So for it to just be me and the old Clydesdale, it felt pretty dope. Me and Clayton Clark hit the road, had about a 3-hour car ride, total.
Let me guess he was running late again.
No, actually, yeah, he was a little bit. He was running a little bit behind because I beat him to our meeting point, and I beat him there by like a half hour. So I just ran to the gas station and got my, got all my shit. Yeah. Been drinking a lot of Prime lately.
I'm surprised you're not drinking that dishwashing fluid you had last week.
I don't have any. Yeah, I do. I just went to the store and I bought more pineapple horchata. It's the best. It's the best. But, man, I got to tell you right now, you guys need to keep your eyes on Ignite. Ignite Pro Wrestling. Pretty cool little company there. They just got their own building. Shout out to Dexter Roswell, Logan Ridge. Shout out to CW Graves. He became their first ever champion. They had a 20-man rumble. He walked out victorious. Clayton gave it hell in that match. He really did. Him and Logan Ridge had a pretty good match. You'll be seeing that on MadBash Uncut. Shout out to Ignite for letting me film that to be a part of MadBash Wrestling Uncut.
Networking, brother.
Networking. I mean, that's all we're doing here, man. Like that's, we talk about wanting to pay it forward. We use that phrase all the time. We talk about wanting to work with people and doing all those stuff. So it's, you see what I'm saying?
I got you.
But
I'll pick it up what you're putting down.
It was just really cool. And I want to granted, it was their first show in this new building. The building still needs a lot of freshening up to do. So, I mean, needs a little bit of TLC going into it. But I'm not saying that in a bad way. I'm just speaking at the truth. They got a pretty good little thing going on there. Pretty excited to see what those guys can do, moving forward, pretty good with, they were the villains in the, Christmas special that we did. They played their parts very well. Yeah, it's always fun to go and just sit in the crowd and be a fan. I mean, granted, I filmed Logan and Clayton, but then for the most part, I just sat back and didn't.
You sat back and got to relax and enjoy what brought you into this company in the first place.
I got to relax as much as possible because who boy was it hot in that building. But I'll tell you what was great about it is they had a garage door open and then storms started to roll in. So the temperature just plummeted. And it started.
Was it a brick building?
Yes. It gave me, and I told a couple of people this, it gave me old school New Wave Pro vibes.
Oh, from the old venue
From
building.
the old venue. From the Terre Haute Music venue, which is the worst building.
I love that building.
I fucking hated it.
I love that building, especially with that garage door open.
Oh my God. But, yeah, you can definitely tell that they got their work cut out for them, but I believe that they're going to be able to pull it off. I really do. They put on a hell of a show. It was entertaining from start to finish. The crowd, my God, dude, the crowd was into it. Super loud crowd, which, see what we did there? We're going to be talking about crowds here in a little bit. But, yeah, it was really cool. It was
I love going to different shows and seeing the different fan bases.
Yes.
Because that's the thing that sticks out in my mind, like traveling all these different companies and everything. It's like, what kind of fan base do you bring in?
Yeah. Got to hang out with Chris Cutler a little bit.
I hear he's a champion somewhere.
He is a champion, yeah. He won the MadBash Wrestling Championship, for those of you that didn't know.
Spoiler.
First of his name. Find out how on
Patreon.com.
Yeah, patreon.com. $8.
Hey.
If you want to stream that bad boy. But, no, man, it was just really cool because, Cutler, I'm going to tell you about that kid right now. We talk about him all the time. He's a fucking sponge. He's asking questions, but he's asking the right questions. So I was able to kind of sit him under the learning tree a little bit. Shout out to Chris Jericho. But no, he was just asking me different opinions on things. I was giving them to him. He was asking, questions about so what do you think about new gear? How do you think it should look? Or, man, do you think that I should do this move? Or what do you think I should do this way? Or whatever. And yeah, it was cool to get to hang out with him. Of course, I hang out with Clayton a lot, so it was cool to hang out with. It's always cool to hang out with Clayton. Cool to see Dexter. Cool to see Logan. I got to meet CW Graves. Really cool dude. Congratulations to him for becoming. I got to tell you right now, that Ignite Championship is one of the most beautiful looking belts.
It looks beautiful
indies.
in the pictures.
Yeah, I would put, and I'm not saying this because it's our belt. I'm just saying based on what people have told us. Because a lot of people have complimented our belt as well. I think the MadBash belt and the Ignite belt are two of the best looking belts on.
I can't wait to see it in person.
It's heavy too, dude. It's a heavy belt. There's a lot of work that went into that belt. But yeah, man, again, shout out to Ignite Pro Wrestling. Free plug ski for them. Check them out on...
They'll always get a free plug ski from us. Those are our boys.
Yeah, they're really cool, dude. Really cool to see the brothers out there doing shit, you know what I mean? And it was fun to be a part of it in what little way that I was a part of it. But again, their crowd was incredible. I've been around some incredible crowds before. I know you have. I know what I like about crowds, and I know what I like about fans. I also know what I hate about crowds and what I hate about certain fans. But you're going to hear a little bit more about that after we hear a word from our sponsors. This episode of the Spot Show podcast is also brought to you by Elite Pro Wrestling. Here's the thing about Elite Pro Wrestling, right? You have them to thank for the Spot Show podcast in many different ways. Elite Pro Wrestling gave MadBash Studios our first opportunity when we decided to come back into the wrestling business. So Elite Pro Wrestling is one of the OG backers. We love Elite Pro Wrestling so much. They are putting on incredible shows every single month. You should absolutely be there, whether it be in Odin, Indiana, Washington, Indiana. We would love to see you in the crowd there at Elite Pro Wrestling for every single thing that you need to know about EPW. Head on over to EliteProfessionalWrestling.com. There you are going to find dates, events, links, everything that you need to know about EPW. Thank you so much for being a day one sponsor, EPW. We very much appreciate it. This episode is brought to you by Yoo-Hoo, a product of Keurig Dr. Pepper. So here's what I want you to picture right now, right? You're on a long road trip, you're driving along, and you're thinking, man, I could really go for a nice, sweet, refreshing drink. You pull into a gas station, and the first thing you see is Yoo-Hoo. And I gotta tell you, grabbing that Yoo-Hoo, that's going to be the right decision every single time. Yoo-Hoo is available in a variety of flavors, vanilla, strawberry, but here at MadBash, our personal favorite is chocolate. I'm going to tell you about Yoo-Hoo a little bit more, right? We absolutely love this stuff here at MadBash. We cannot get enough of it. And you know what? We're going to sweeten the pot a little bit here thanks to Yoo-Hoo. If you see us at a wrestling show and you buy a MadBash wrestling sticker, you are entitled to one free bottle of Yoo-Hoo on MadBash Studios. Limit one per customer while supplies last. Now, come on, guys. You can't beat that deal with a stick. Again, MadBash would like to thank Yoo-Hoo so much for sponsoring this episode. Sometimes there are people that have probably the worst takes in the history of professional wrestling. It happens a lot.
Too much, more than not.
And I literally read someone made a post that said that the French crowd was annoying because of how loud they were.
How
Jesus
can you say that?
Christ, dude. Like, get the fuck over yourself.
Like, I didn't understand half the crap they were chanting through most of the show because
Didn't matter.
I don't speak French, but I was on the edge of my seat for it. I'm like, yeah.
It didn't matter. They were engaged.
Exactly.
And that's really all that matters.
They weren't sitting on their phones. They were living the fucking moment.
Yeah. Yeah. There are some fans that I see, funny you mentioned the phone thing, that I see them at shows and they're just on their phone the entire time. And I'm like, what are you doing here? Like, why are you even here?
Why pay your money and just sit and text and not even look at what's going on in the ring?
Oh my God. One time, this is a true story. One time, my cousin and I went to a Colts game and this guy sitting down in front of us spent the entire game. If I'm lying, I'm dying. Spent the entire game going through Instagram filters for a photo that he was taking.
While at the game.
While at the game. Did not look up from his phone the entire fucking time.
I'm not even a big football mark, but like if I'm there live,
So
I'm
why-
living in the moment.
So why are you there if you're just gonna be on your phone?
Because he wants to get those likes on that Instagram photo,
Jesus
bro. It's
Christ,
worth
dude. This
that.
was like 10 years ago.
It's
This was,
worth that ticket price.
dude, this was like fucking 12 years ago, probably. But tangent before we even get started. But yeah, that French crowd, again, I've not watched the entire show, but I've seen the videos and I've seen the reels of it. Just how
I've
loud
never
it-
seen a fucking hard cam shake just from audio. Like, what the hell was that, man?
Yeah. And the Cody Rhodes whoa was in fucking insane.
Not
dude.
even the whoa, dude. They stopped playing his music and the fans sung along even after it stopped for the whole next verse. It's
Yeah.
goosebumps, dude. Especially like Randy Orton's music hit. You couldn't even hear his music over the crowd singing it.
So a lot of people are calling him the loudest crowd in WWE history. You've watched WWE for 30 some years. I've watched WWE for 30 some years. Do you agree?
I agree. Hands down. It makes me want to do a MadBash wrestling show in France.
In France?
Yes.
You heard it, guys. MadBash goes French.
I know a guy over there.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Shout out to Nico. But, it like I said, you know, it really got me thinking about this whole, like, wrestling crowd culture. You know what I mean? And, like, I'm going to start with this. I'm going to start with the negatives so that we can kind of get into some
So
positives.
let's start with the negatives.
Yeah, I'm going to start with some negatives. The one thing that I absolutely fucking despise about wrestling fans specifically is fans that have a gimmick.
Oh, yeah.
Hate it.
You're a fan for a reason.
Absolutely hate it.
I mean, but they do get to get out there and like live and get some like notification from it.
Or notoriety.
No notification.
Take a shot every time Dickie Wabash corrects Michael Madrox on the
Oh,
Spot
they'd
Show
be fucking
podcast.
drunk quick, brother.
Yeah, yeah. I just feel like when you're a fan with a gimmick,
You're taking away from
you're
what's in the ring.
taking it away and you're making it about you. Now, this is not me saying that, like,
This ain't towards a green shirt guy or sign guy.
yes, thank you, which had a really cool conversation with Kennedy about
We already talked
Sign
about
Guy.
that. We already covered that
Yeah,
one.
I know, but it was funny. Like, we talked about Sign Guy in the spit here because Sign Guy does not take away from the show.
No.
I am openly going to call it out right now, and I'm glad that we really don't see him a lot anymore. I fucking despise Brock Lesnar, guy.
Yeah.
He is my least favorite fucking fan in the world.
Why is that?
Because he's another one that makes it rather about himself. And like for some reason, Punk entertains him. Fucking all these other people like Finn Balor entertained him. He was on an episode of Swerved, for Christ's sake. And it's like, dude, like he had this thing in his Twitter bio years ago where it was like, oh, just trying to find my place in the business. And it's like, brother, your place in the business is behind the fucking barricade cheering for these people. The show is not fucking about you.
No.
Show is absolutely not
Just
about
because you can pose and scream once.
Yeah.
I thought you were going to go in a completely different direction.
Frank the Clown?
No.
Because I don't like him
I
either.
thought you were going to go local.
Oh, we're not there yet, brother.
It's hot pink out there somewhere, brother.
I mean, yeah, I mean, I was going to try to think of, but you already did it. But yeah, there's, you know, I can't quite put my pinky on it, but there's someone out there that I find, you know, pretty annoying. But no, man, like, the thing is, like, it's not about you. And like, if you want to dress up and like come to these wrestling shows, like the guy that dressed up as Macho Man that time, it's like,
That happens a lot.
do you?
But he ain't out there.
But it's not about you.
They're not distracting the people, man.
They understand deep down that they're here to have a good time. Have your fun however you want to fucking have it. But there was that one dude that would walk around with that fucking blazer that had all the logos on it.
Yeah.
Like, I was at a show one time. It was Night of Champions 2016. So it was Clash of the Champions. And it was him, Frank the Clown, and Brock Lesnar guy all walking around together. And you could tell they were walking around trying to get noticed. Like, that's the shit that I find annoying.
When they can't get those front row seats and they just gotta fucking do laps around the fucking building.
Yep.
Because you see that shit, even like when you go to a local fucking WWE show, that happens all the fucking time, dude.
Now, I've talked to Sign Guy. He's a fucking cool dude.
He's humble as shit.
He's very good guy. Like, I've literally like had a conversation with him at a show one time, and he super nice guy, you know, and he and then you got to talk about, you know, Vlad the super fan, you know, but he was someone like, here's a good way to put this. Here's an incredible way to put this. These are guys that did not go out of their way to make themselves known. Like, granted, Brock Lesnar shirt guy was someone that was organic.
And then it became a monster.
But then he became a meme. But like, you look at people like Sign Guy, green shirt guy, you know, shit like that. And it's just like, Jesus Christ, guys, like, come the fuck on, you know? But, yeah, man, fans that, have a gimmick never jived with it.
Never.
But in the middle of this recording, Michael Madrox just got an alert on his phone that there's apparently a tornado warning here in our town. I highly doubt it. Can you see out the windows?
I hear thunder in some tree moving, but
we're good. Dude, I went and saw Phantom Menace. They're re-showing it in theaters, and they showed a trailer for that new Twister movie.
It looks so good, dude.
Are you being sarcastic?
Yeah.
Good. Because it looks terrible. My favorite part of the first Twister is when they go, hang on, I Foley work on this one, guys, because I'm going to have some sound effects. Whenever they're like...
sound effects?
Yeah, whenever she goes, so what's an F5? F5. It's the finger of God. when they're shifting all the shit on
the Dorothy's
finger of God. But no, man. So what's something about fans that annoy you, man?
Fans that do the chants that make no damn sense to try to draw attention to themselves like they're somebody special.
Yeah, I get that. Do you have any specific cases?
Jared Average.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. That can be a double-edged sword. That can also be a double-edged sword. So I'm going to tie it into this. Like, fans that are clearly smart to the business, they've looked behind that curtain.
Don't bury the shit you're watching.
Don't take it away from, because that little kid over there, he still believes Santa.
Exactly, man.
You know,
and you're just sitting out there burying the fucking product that you paid your money to come sit and watch. What is the point? Yeah. Like, there's a difference between giving a guy heat in the ring and just fucking blatantly burying him in public.
There's a difference. Huge difference.
That shit drives me nuts.
And it's hard to explain. Like, there's obviously, like, if you're a heel, you're going to be getting heat, obviously. But there's a different level to it where it's like a level of heat of where it's like, dude, you're not making it good. Fucking example. Oh my God. Do you remember when we went to AEW with Logan and that guy,
the drunk people across the aisle?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
You take over.
When he's just like, fuck you, Kenny.
Like, go back to Japan, you pussy. And he was just like dropping all these derogatory terms, like, you know, just dropping
words
stuff
that we can't say.
Stuff that you can say in Crossville, but not stuff that you can say normally. But I knew this phone call was coming.
And who we got? Parker or Clayton?
Neither. Mama Wabash, you're live on the Spot Show podcast. How are you?
I was just wondering about these tornado warnings.
Yeah, we were just talking about that. Madrox just got that alert on his phone. We're batting down the hatches here at the studio, and we are okay.
Yep, taking shelter.
Absolutely. Hey, so you're someone who's been to a lot of wrestling shows before, correct? Yes, you have been. So, really good way to leave me hanging there, Mom.
I said correct, and yes.
Oh, I did not
The
pick you up.
tornadoes cut her phone out.
Oh, yeah, shit. So, as someone that sits in the crowd, what is something about wrestling, like not wrestling fans in general, but have you ever seen anything specifically at a wrestling show, without naming names or getting too specific, that has really annoyed you at a wrestling show?
No, not really.
Thanks for being there for me.
Well, I'm thinking wrestlers, but what really irritates me is not having a good announcer.
Oh, well, we're talking about fans specifically, but I can see how that can be
Fans?
annoying.
Yeah, fans.
Like the way that, like, if there was behavior from fans that you see that it's like, come on, it's just shut up.
I got a good one.
Well, the name calling. That's
We were literally just talking about that. We were just talking about that right before you called.
Yeah, the really bad name calling. When they're prejudiced and things that just tears right through me.
Yeah. Yeah, like when certain, like, 4-letter words get thrown around and stuff like that.
Yes.
Yeah. I think we're all in agreement there. Agreement there on that one.
Well, and if they're prejudiced too.
Yeah. Again, you don't need to name specifics, but I know of an instance that you're talking about.
Yep.
Yeah, I know exactly of an instance that you're talking about that happened at a show not too long ago.
Yes, I was really pissed off about that.
Yeah, as you should be. But, do you want to talk about the time that you got a confrontation in the parking lot because you were my mom?
Oh my gosh. It was horrible.
I have no problem saying where this was. This was in Georgetown.
Yes. Me and your cousin Derek.
Shout out.
Up. Yeah. Hey, Derek. Pulled up in your dad's new truck. And we parked along the road and we started walking up to the venue, and we were kind of surrounded by, what would you call them? Dickie haters?
Well, yeah, because I mean, that just goes to show you the level of heat that I had in Georgetown. They hated me. And the reason that you guys were surrounded is because you both were wearing Dickie Wabash shirts.
Yes.
And they took it seriously. Like, they took it goddamn seriously.
Yes. Don't say God's name in vain. But anyway, I finally called for the head honcho. I don't know if you want me to say names.
It was V.
Okay. And he come out and he's like, hey, chill, leave him alone. This is Dickie's mom, blah, 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 blah. So we go in, we watch the show, we cheer you on, our people on. We didn't care about what they were saying or doing. And things went okay. And we went to leave the show. And your dad's brand new truck had a very bad dent and scrape on it.
Yep, that happened.
Yep, and it's like,
I got that mess up an $80,000 vehicle heat, brother.
Yeah.
I'm noticing a trend with your mom around vehicles.
And I'm like, you fucking assholes. I don't know. It was nuts.
Hell yeah. So basically, I think that the moral of the story here is that realize at the end of the day, we're all people.
Exactly. Why can't everyone just get along? I mean, you have yours, I have mine.
Mom, this is the same crowd that spit on me one time. So that's just how it is.
Well, if I'd known that, I'd been kicking ass.
But all right. Well, thank you for calling and being on the podcast. I'll call you when we're done recording.
Well, I wanted to check on you with the weather.
Oh, we're fine.
Okay.
Okay. I love you.
I love you.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
You know what really grinds my gears?
Shout out to Mama Wabash, by the way. What grinds your gears?
People who bring their kids to the shows and treat it like a drop-off zone.
Yeah, I agree. Here's the thing. I understand wrestling is a lot of times centered towards kids. But
it is.
Watch your fucking kids.
Absolutely.
And do not let them run around. Take fucking care of them. God damn.
There should never be a point where kids are like being stopped by security from entering a backstage area when they have no family there, no business there at all.
Yeah. I agree. Yeah. Yeah, we're not your own personal daycare. We're just not. But we're spending a lot on the negative, though, man.
There's a lot of negative.
There's a lot of negative. I mean, there's a lot of positive too. But I'll throw out maybe like a couple more negative, and then I want to focus more on it because here's the thing: we love the fans. There's just a certain genre of fan, for lack of a better term, that we just don't vibe with. But no, I just, I think that there's this thing of where, how do I put this delicately? We're public figures. We know, like, we're putting ourselves in front of these people, but that doesn't automatically mean that we're your friends.
Absolutely.
Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And
there should be boundaries.
There absolutely should. Are we getting another phone call right now? Dalton Davis, you're live on the Spot Show podcast.
Motherfuckers, this raining sideways out in this bitch.
I know. That's what we're
I'm watching
hearing
your
about.
tree like
You
spinning
guys doing
circles.
the Spot Show podcast live from the bathroom? There's a motherfucking NATO on the way. We ain't talking Joan.
Yeah, there's no Tornado Jones. Hey, Dalton, while we have you on the phone, and of course I trust you with this, don't name specifics, don't name a specific instance or name names, but what is something that you absolutely think that wrestling fans should not do, and what do you think they should do instead?
Oh, man, that's a good one. That's a good one.
Like, what's something like, say that a fan is coming up to you at a show. They're a Dalton Davis fan. How do you think they should handle it? Like, what's a do and a don't?
Let's see. You said if they came up to me and they were a fan of me?
Yeah. So what? How do you think they should approach you? Like, what's
acceptable?
Yeah. What's acceptable and what's not acceptable?
I mean, I don't think that there's any like super like acceptable way. Like, I as long as you're nice and you show your character, I don't like those people that like come up to you and act like they know the business when they've never bumped a day before in their life.
I agree. That's actually
that's
what I was about to bring up. Something like that.
I don't think that that's acceptable. Like, if you're a fan of mine and you like what I do, but you can't go in there and do that, don't expect me to peel back the curtain for you,
Absolutely.
I don't think that's okay.
Yeah.
I don't think that there's really like, as long as, being a wrestler, we're still human beings. Just come up to people and treat them with respect, dignity. We're not, whether it be Dalton Davis and Clayton Clark or Randy Orton and John Cena, at the end of the day, we're human.
Very good comparison there. Who's who? Who's Cena and who's Orton? I already know the answer.
Yeah. I'll answer this with a question, Dickie Wabash.
I know what the question is already. Go ahead and say it.
Who's more likely to rip a urinal off the fucking wall?
Dalton Davis, I love you. We'll give you a call when we're done recording.
Yeah, I'll probably be in your driveway. What?
All right, later.
He's out.
He's not joking.
No, he's probably not. So, yeah, I think that's Dalton Davis put it very good right there. Like, here's some etiquette now. Like, just approach us as people. We're people. That's all we are. Like, and anyone who tries to big league you and like try to act like they're hot shit, like, dude, we're all people. We were all fans one day.
At the end of the day, it all comes back to the saying.
Yeah.
$0 to be a decent human being.
Yeah.
Respect us. We respect you guys.
Wheaton's Law. Don't be a dick.
Exactly.
Literally what Wheaton's Law is. But here's something that I want to talk about that's like good about fans. It's like we love it when you're engaged, obviously. We love it when you're cheering for who you like and booing for who you hate. We love it. We love signs. We like Bring back the sign, like signs.
Even to an independent level, bring the damn signs.
Yeah, every so often, I'm going to tell you, Ignite had a few signs in the crowd, and that was really cool to see that people were bringing signs back to
that
indie
old school
shows.
mentality, man.
Yeah, and that's why I want to give a shout out to one of our partners, Dex Block. They'll give you a sign to hold up. You know, they've done it before.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that, like, that's something that, like, we talk about all the time is that whenever these old Raw is Wars would come on, or whatever, like, we would, the first thing you see is all these signs. And that is just a really cool visual that, like, you just don't see anymore. Like, obviously, we're talking about on the indie level, but, like, even coming to, like, to a house show
or even a pay-per-view for that matter, man, you don't see it.
Yeah.
Everyone's too concerned about holding that cell phone in front of their face, watching through that little screen, than holding a sign and looking through their eyes.
100%. 100%. But, like, I don't know, man. Like, what's the best crowd that you have ever been in front of? Like, name a specific crowd that you remember being in front of that you were like, man, what did they do right? What were they doing that just made it special?
The West Terre Haute Community Center, when we sold it out.
Yeah.
We couldn't do anything wrong that night.
That was 2012. That was back in August of 2012, I believe.
The CWF show. Nobody could do anything wrong that night. That crowd was hot from the moment that first theme song hit until the very last night or match.
Yeah.
That's one of my favorite crowds I've ever worked in front of, man.
I'm going to be biased. Ascend the Throne.
Yes.
The Ascend the Throne crowd was by no means thousands of people, but they sounded like it. And specifically during the Clayton Clark, Chris Cutler finals, one of the craziest crowds I've ever been in front of.
That whole crowd was on their feet that whole match.
They were.
I've never seen a crowd stand for the whole thing.
Right down the middle. Split absolutely right down the middle. You know, Cutler had his fans, Clayton had his fans, and the way that they were each positioned in the audience was almost like there was a battle line or something. But
the line in the sand.
Yeah. But I want to go back to this CWF crowd that you were talking about. That was my first sellout. There were 350 paid. And that's paid.
That's not including the
so there was
families.
We were probably north of 4 in that building.
I would say even a little over, like closer to 5.
Well, that's what I'm saying, north of 4. I wouldn't say 500. No,
you don't
dude.
think
That's
so?
a lot. No, there wasn't. No, it was 350 paid. And I would say we were at about 4. We were at about 4 total. That was just an incredible night. Like
that building shook from the sound. Like, not as big as fucking France was doing, but on a small level, like amazing, dude. Goosebumps just thinking about it.
Well, I remember Jason V talking about the Noble crowd for Ascend the Throne. He was worried that they were going to collapse in because there was just so much energy, and like they were again split right down the middle. Half for Clayton Clark, half for Chris Cutler. It couldn't have been a more better crowd. And I'm going to, this crowd from the last EPW show, the one in, where are we? April, which was, remind me, what was the name of that show? Tag Team Warfare. That was a hot crowd too.
Sellout crowd too.
Sellout crowd. But here's the thing. We're throwing out these numbers, right? We're throwing out these buzzwords. Oh, sell out, this many people, this many people. There was probably 60 in the crowd for Ascend the Throne, and they were just as loud as the 350 that were there for CWF. Like, it's not the
numbers don't really matter at the end of the day. It's
No.
how vocal you are and how into it you are.
Yeah, and that's why I want to stop with this bullshit of like, oh, these wrestlers at AEW, they're fucking wrestling in front of a half-empty crowd. Doesn't matter. If the fans are into it, the fans are fucking into it.
You could have 10 people on that crowd and they could sound like 1,000 people.
Mm-hmm.
It depends on what you're doing in that ring to make them invest themselves in you.
Now, someone who, I I feel like this is a subject that we could both kind of cover here, but when was a moment that you knew, whether you were being a babyface or you were a heel, singles, tag, promo, whatever, what's a specific moment that you remember where you had the crowd in the palm of your hand?
Riding out to the ring on office chairs.
The riot?
The riot.
The night of the riot?
Didn't have to open our mouths at first, brother.
Dude, we still drive by that building and it's just like, But yeah, we didn't even like, just the way that we like were in that moment. It was just like we had them.
We were douchebags before our music even hit in that building, bro.
Yeah, like what made me a douchebag is the fact that I ran, jumped in an office chair, and skateboarded it across the fucking gym floor. Yeah, that was good. That was really good. One time it was a New Wave show. It was one of their Bash for Babies shows, which is notorious for a couple other reasons. I got in the ring, and I like to do this thing when I'm the master of ceremonies, and there's a big crowd where I hold the mic to one side. That side pops. This side, crowd pop. All four sides. Then I determine who was the two loudest. Okay, I'll come to you. That was loud. Then go to the second one. Oh, that was loud. Then I make those two start competing to see who I can get to be the loudest. And then after a couple of seconds of that, I hold it up in the middle,
and just listen
the
to
microphone,
the whole building pop.
And they all pop. And that is one of the loudest reactions that I personally was able to get, and I knew that I had them in the palm of my hand.
I'm talking about small crowds, though, dude. Like when I worked for Hogan's Micro Championship Wrestling back in the day.
Yeah.
There was only like 150 people in the building. And just seeing my giant ass get up on the ring and threaten to fight midgets, I had that crowd in the palm of my hands. That whole little redneck crowd was waiting for me to get destroyed.
Because, again, it's like all about the psychology of what's going on in the crowd. And like, I think that is something that does not come easy for everybody.
No.
Because you gotta know your audience. Like if you're on a fair show or a festival show.
I'm throwing it out there. I hated doing fair shows and festival shows.
Because that's my point. Because they don't know what is going on.
It's not a wrestling crowd.
No.
It's not at all. You'll have a couple wrestling fans in there, and you have to pinpoint who's a wrestling fan, and those are your marks for that night. Because if you can get those people chanting or booing,
then the rest of the crowd knows.
Rest of the crowd follows.
I want to just say this, too. We're not disparaging it of like I fucking hate them. Like
no, it's just harder work for us in the ring.
Yeah, we say it from the perspective of it's harder for us to work in that environment. Like I did a segment one time for a show where it was at a public event, and it was one of those things of where I was playing the Dickie Wabash's rebelling against the company character, but to that crowd who didn't know what was going on, they thought I was the good guy, and they thought that I was being bullied.
They didn't care less. You got to be able to, on a fair show, you got to be able to switch everything at the drop of a fucking dime.
Yeah, you gotta be able to read the room and be like, this isn't gonna happen. This isn't the place for it. This just is not the place for it.
I thrived in fair shows because 1, I was never a high flyer.
Yeah.
2, I was never a good wrestler. But 3, I could connect with one person in that fucking crowd.
I'm going to clip that where you said you were never a good wrestler.
Why?
That's just funny to me.
But like, nonetheless, dude, I was a soundbite. I could go out there and pick one person and make a wildfire out of that whole audience. And that's what I prided myself on.
And that is not easy to do. It's fun to do. But yeah, I want to, that Georgetown crowd, like my mom was talking about what all happened with them. Like I've had some moments with them. I've been spit on. I've been charged. They've waited for me after the show. That was a crowd that I was guaranteed I was going to have them in the palm of my hand.
And fair shows too, dude. If you're a heel out there, you got to watch out for rocks. That's why they suck too.
Yeah.
That's free ammunition for the fans.
So I hope that we redeemed it. Because, we were talking kind of negatively about wrestling fans. I just want to leave it with this disclaimer. We love wrestling fans.
Absolutely.
We love a certain subdivision of wrestling fans.
I love all wrestling fans. I disagree with some of the way they behave.
Yes. Yeah. We didn't get to talk about it because Mama Wabash called, but yeah, that guy at AEW was just making it not fun for everyone.
What it sums down to is it takes one bad apple.
Yeah.
To ruin our night.
Yeah. Yeah, it does. And I think that I'm not breaking new ground by saying what I'm getting ready to say here, but like the fans are the lifeblood. Like they did their best during COVID. They being all of the wrestling companies, but
I was in the Thunderdome 4 times, brother.
Gotta have it. You gotta have that crowd. You have to. And if you don't have that crowd, then there's really no point.
None at all.
There's really no point. Well, this was a good little discussion ski. I don't know what we're going to be talking about on Paige Show. Might be going to the tornado shelter. We don't know yet, but
definitely going to have to go outside and look. I'm getting pictures from hell and everything else outside. So.
No shit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we're going to probably be giving you a live weather report on Paige Show. But yeah, man, we're going to go ahead and hop off here. Again, MadBashStudios.com. That's the big one. Go there. Patreon.com/MadBashStudios. There you'll find links to, on MadBashStudios.com, you'll find links to all of our social media. It's all MadBash Studios. You can find me on Instagram at DW_mischievous_rabbit. Guys, be sure to check out Ascend the Throne. It's an incredible show. Be sure to head over to the YouTube, all of that stuff. For those of you on the Patreon, we will see you on Paige Show.